If John the Baptist rose from the dead and lived in our world waiting for Jesus to come again, it must be a miracle. If this miracle is true, it at least proves that Jesus is true, resurrection is real, the Gospels are true. For all the prophets and the law prophesied unto John, and if you are willing to accept it, he is the Elijah who was to come. He who has ears, let him hear. The Baptist was killed by Herod. Why do prophets and lost prophecies still hasn't stopped? Acts records the deeds of a prophet named Agabus who prophesied, and Revelation is a book of prophecy. The conclusion is that after John was killed, the prophecy did not stop. John may still be alive, otherwise it's contradiction. Before John the Baptist was killed, Jesus had the ability to resurrect and had the conditions to resurrect John. When John heard in prison what Christ was doing, he sent his disciples to ask him, "Are you the one who was to come, or should we accept someone else?" Jesus replied, "Go back and report to John what you hear and see. The dead are raised." Jesus also knew when John the Baptist died and where he was buried, because John's disciples came and took his body and buried it. Then they went and told Jesus. Therefore, Jesus had the conditions to reveal John in prison. John the Baptist did not know Jesus and was killed. If there was no resurrection, how could he bear witness for Jesus? When John heard in prison what Christ was doing, he sent his disciples to ask him, "Are you the one who was to come, or should we accept someone else?" The conclusion was that John was uncertain about the identity of Jesus before he was killed, and he could not testify for Jesus. But we read the testimony of John the Baptist in the Gospels. Why? In the first three Gospels, John did not testify for Jesus. If you look closely at the Gospel of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, you will find that John did not testify for Jesus. The cleansing the temple in the Gospel of John is in chapter 2, while the glory into the holy city is written in chapter 12. In chapter 3, after Jesus cleansed the temple, John was still baptizing. This shows that the Gospels once again suggest that John the Baptist is resurrected. We believe that, first, Jesus has the possibility of resurrecting John. He has the ability of resurrection and knows where John is buried. Secondly, it's necessary for Jesus to resurrect John, because before John was killed, he hadn't testified for Jesus and did not complete his mission, and Jesus also needed his testimony. This time we will analyze the direct evidence of John the Baptist's resurrection, which is written in the Gospel of John. Let's first look at Jesus' two words. When Jesus spoke again to the people, he said, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." Jesus answered, "I am the way, and the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." Jesus said that he is the light and the truth. So who bears this witness for Jesus? Let's look at another paragraph of Jesus' words.
If I testify about myself, my testimony is not valid. There is another who testifies in my favor, and I know that his testimony about me is valid. You have sent to John, and he has testified to the truth.
This is also a paragraph in the first chapter of the Gospel of John.
There came a man who was sent from God. His name was John. He came as a witness to testify concerning that light, so that through him all men might believe. He himself was not the light. He came only as a witness to the light.
It can be seen that Jesus is the light and the truth. Only John can testify. John testifies that Jesus is the light and the truth. However, in the four Gospels, we don't find that John testified that Jesus is the light and the truth. However, from the content of the Gospel of John, except that Jesus said, "He is the light and the truth." Only the author of the Gospel of John testified that Jesus is the light and the truth.
Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of men. The light shines in the darkness, but the darkness has not understood it.
Light has come into the world, but men loved darkness instead of light, because their deeds were evil. Everyone who does evil hates the light, and will not come into the light for fear that his deeds will be exposed. But whoever lives by the truth comes into the light, so that it may be seen plainly that what he has done has been done through God. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. For the law was given through Moses. Grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. The last two sentences are obviously witnessing that Jesus is the truth. We know that only John the Baptist can witness that Jesus is the light and the truth. However, the fact is that the author of the Gospel of John witnessed that Jesus is the light and the truth, which means that the author of the Gospel of John is John the Baptist, the mysterious disciples. Take a closer look at this phrase from the Gospel of John.
The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. John testifies concerning him. He cries out, saying,
"This was he of whom I said, 'He who comes after me has surpassed me, because he was before me.'"
The author of the Gospel of John said, "The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth." And John testified, "This was he of whom I said, 'He who comes after me has surpassed me, because he was before me.'" Therefore, there is only one conclusion. When the author of the Gospel of John said these words, either John the Baptist was on the scene, or John the Baptist was the author himself. Otherwise, he could not affirm or evaluate the words of the author of the Gospel of John. Therefore, that context proves that John the Baptist was still alive when the author of the Gospel of John wrote the Gospel of John. This is the resurrected John the Baptist.